In the tense, almost explosive atmosphere of the town, Leslie stood alone by the window, her eyes sharp and calculating, observing every step Vernon took. The bitterness she carried was not only born from feeling excluded from the circle of power long held by the Dupree/Dri family, but also from her intense desire for recognition, respect, and the absolute power she had never possessed. In that brief moment, Leslie saw Vernon enter the shabby motel where Eva and her mother were living, alongside Sharon, and a part of her immediately took it as evidence of an illicit relationship. But Leslie didn't just see, she began to imagine, weaving small details together, collecting fragments of truth, and transforming them into a scandalous story. The sense of exclusion, helplessness, and hatred had turned Leslie into a ruthless strategist. She was no longer the timid or gentle girl she once was, every action she took was aimed at destroying what she could not have. Leslie spread rumors, not with innocent malice, but through a carefully calculated strategy, every insinuation disguised as concern, every witness lured with promises, favors, or shared confidences to gain temporary loyalty. Pieces of truth were stitched together in her hands into a perfect web of deception, enough to drag Vernon and Anita from the heights of their reputation down to public humiliation. Vernon, the man the community saw as a model of virtue and perfection, now faced a storm ignited by Leslie's speculations. He seemed to be a victim of a visual trap she had set, yet the complexity of his inner self made it hard for outsiders to comprehend. Vernon carried hidden histories, minor secrets that were enough to raise suspicion in others' eyes. Sharon, who everyone assumed was just the event organizer, harbored layers of past romantic connections even Anita had never known. This tangled relationship, entangled further by Leslie, turned seemingly simple moments into a sophisticated labyrinth of suspicion and betrayal, where every step could lead someone to fall. Eva, caught between loyalty to her mother and shame at Leslie's cruelty, struggled with conflicting emotions. She knew the truth, that Vernon and Sharon were only preparing a surprise performance at the winter festival for Anita, a public declaration of love requiring privacy and meticulous planning. But Leslie's distortion of the moment into a fabricated scandal left Eva suffocating. Each passing day, she felt pressure like an invisible force, weighing heavily on her young mind. Choosing between exposing Leslie's ruthless plan and protecting those she loved became a fierce internal struggle. Anita, the devoted wife, learned of the rumor but did not let her emotions dictate her actions, quietly weighing everything. She understood that the rumor was merely a plot based on appearances, but revealing it publicly, putting her faith in herself in front of all eyes, was an arduous challenge. Trusting Vernon and the years of love and devotion he had shown became her only anchor amidst the storm of gossip. She did not erupt in anger, did not shout, but in her silence, she created a mental safe space for herself, preparing for the moment when the truth would speak for itself. As the winter festival approached, the atmosphere in the town seemed electrified by rumors. The residents split into two distinct factions, those eager to witness the Dupree family's public downfall, and those who still remembered Vernon's simple kindness, patiently believing that things were not as they appeared. Lights, sounds, hurried footsteps created a tense space, where every action was observed, every gesture misinterpreted, and every decision carried heavy social consequences. Leslie, in the darkness of the motel, was unaware that her plan was facing subtle resistance from the town. Some people began to suspect the two perfect coincidences, the small details she used to build the scandal starting to show gaps. Yet Leslie didn't notice, obsession with power and revenge left her unmoved. She believed that by dragging the whole town into her trap, she would rise to the pinnacle of authority, while Vernon and Anita would endure public shame. Meanwhile, Vernon and Sharon quietly prepared for the public love declaration. Every detail was meticulously planned, lighting, music, every step, and precise timing to maximize the impact of the surprise. This was not a secret affair, but a combination of artistry, careful preparation, and genuine love. Yet Leslie's misunderstanding, combined with the town's readiness to believe more sensational rumors than reality, made this moment the focal point of tension. Eva, realizing Leslie's ruthlessness, wrestled with the feeling that she was standing on a fine line between honesty and betrayal. She once trusted Leslie, sensing her care for her and her mother. But now, Leslie's cruelty, manipulation, and cunning made Eva question which side she should take. The pressure pushed her to her limits, where every choice could harm loved ones and herself. The days leading to the festival felt endlessly long. Every rumor, every scrutinizing gaze, every whispered conversation was magnified by imagination, envy, and unquenchable curiosity. The pressure spread through every corner, space, light, and time seemed to become the enemy, increasing the heartbeat and anxiety of all the characters. Every step had to be calculated, every word considered, yet the power of the planted rumor was uncontrollable. On the eve of the winter festival, the motel lights burned late into the night, casting shadows on the walls like inescapable phantoms. Leslie, Vernon, Anita, Sharon, and Eva all stood on the line between truth and image, between genuine love and imagined power, between cunning and goodwill. A moment of revelation was about to unfold, where the entire town would have to choose whether to believe the rumor, the performance, the image, or the truth. Tension reached its peak. Would the community recognize that Vernon was merely preparing a surprise gift, or would the stain of false gossip linger forever, despite reality? Leslie, wielding the power she built from lies, would have to pay a price if the truth emerged. She could be expelled from social organizations, clubs, the very platforms she used to manipulate. This mental confrontation was not just a personal battle but a clash of wits where every choice was a double-edged sword. Each character faced their deepest fears: loss of reputation, loss of power, loss of trust, and loss of loved ones. The collision between rumor and truth, between imagined power and genuine love, between intrigue and goodwill, created a network of tension where anyone could fall. The town was swept into a whirlwind of emotion, anger, suspicion, trust, and betrayal, painting a vivid yet dark portrait of human nature and society. When the winter festival finally began, all eyes turned to the temporary stage at the town center. The lights shimmered on faces full of doubt, where every gesture, every glance became evidence. Vernon stepped forward, resolute and confident, Sharon by his side, offering support through professionalism and the grace of an experienced event organizer. Leslie stood among the crowd, heart pounding, each beat challenging her imagined authority. Every meticulously calculated plan could collapse in an instant when the truth was revealed to all. The confrontation between rumor and reality, imagined power and genuine love, cunning and compassion, created a tension in which every character had to confront their choices. The town, each individual, and even those secretly watching had to decide which side their faith and reason would lean toward. The town was caught in a cyclone of emotion, anger, doubt, trust, and betrayal, forming an intricate, colorful, and shadowed tapestry of human complexity. Thank you all for your loyal support and listening.